Carlo Buontempo, who is the director of the EU's Climate Change Service. Thank you for being with us on the program. Now, what are your thoughts of these statistics that the EU Climate Service has come out with? And of course, what are the drivers of this extreme weather, and how much of a big role is the El Nino playing in all of this?
Yes, effectively, as you said, 2023 has been truly an exceptional year climate-wise. We started seeing temperature above the normal level already in June, where we had a streak of days above the 1.5 as a daily value. And June became the warmest June on record. And this was followed by July, and then August, September, October. Each one of those months since June until December, at their time, had been the warmest month on history. And in particular, July became the warmest month ever recorded. September saw the largest variation in temperature with respect to the historical period. And this led to the year being very close to the 1.5 degrees. It's important to stress, though, that the 1.5 degrees above pre-industrial, and by pre-industrial we mean the temperature of the last 50 years of the 19th century, the 1.5 degrees mentioned in the Paris Agreement represent an average over 20 years. What we are seeing at the moment is an average of a single year, but still is telling, because with the time passing and each year becoming a bit closer to this Paris Agreement level, we will see more and more often this temperature threshold being exceeded. El Nino played a role. You were mentioning El Nino. This is a fluctuation in the climate system that is related to the temperature of the ocean in the Pacific. And there's two phases: the El Nino, which is the warm phase, and we've just been through the peak of El Nino. We are about to be to the peak of El Nino, and the La Nina, which is the cold phase. The last few years have been characterized by a series of La Nina, so have been unusually cold. This year, or last year to say better, 2023, has seen a transition from La Nina in spring to El Nino, which was declared by the World Meteorological Organization in August. And we have seen this going up. And this certainly contributed, but it would be impossible to explain the unprecedented record we have seen in 2023 without calling into cause the global climate change.
So if we do continue at this rate, what are the ramifications going to be in the long run?
Well, if we could continue at this rate, we do expect to reach the 1.5 degrees as in the terms of the Paris Agreement by the mid-2030s. So we actually have a small app that can be accessed through our webpage of the climate.copernicus.eu, where you can see month by month how this expectation changes. And at the moment is in around 2034. So we do expect to reach the 1.5 degrees in roughly 10 years' time. And depending on what we do in terms of emissions of greenhouse gases, we may be able to go back below 1.5. This is the famous overshoot that is often mentioned. So we do expect to reach 1.5. We do expect to exceed 1.5. But if we put our act together, then we can possibly go back below 1.5. And this is important because while 2023 looks as the warmest, and it is the warmest year on record, our record started in the 1940s, but is very likely to be the warmest year in the last 100,000 years. So this is remarkably warm. But if we look from 10, 20 years down the line, it's quite possible we'll think of 2023 as one of the coolest years we have lived through.
All right, Carlo Buontempo, thank you so much for being with us here on the NewsHour and sharing that analysis with us. We appreciate it.